over to this piece that I mentioned by Rachel Beckman that was a couple weeks ago, reflecting on World Malaria Day. And I thought this is a really good example of a piece that actually could be a basis for an argument, a great blog piece talking about World Malaria Day. And I wanted to throw the question back to you all. What are some of the components that Rachel is using that we discussed already in terms of the news hooks she's using as well as the sources of evidence that she's using here?
For news hook, it would be probably today's World Malaria Day.
So she's using an anniversary. Absolutely. I was hoping that Rachel might be on the call just randomly. I don't see her in the participant list, but
I am on the call. I'm right here.
You are on the call. Hi, Rachel. Okay, great. You may be part of the staff here that's not coming up. Okay.
I am part of the staff here.
I was looking for your name individually to pop up. So you can feel free to chime in as well, Rachel, about your own pieces, or if you're not feeling too shy about us putting you on the spot here.
No, I'm not.
Okay. So what are some of the things, and Rachel, feel free to chime in, what are some of the sources of evidence that Rachel uses here in this piece?
So she links to the MDGs and the United Nations, which is a credible source of information.
So are we talking about kind of a reputable source, right? The UN Millennium Development Goals, something that is definitely a credible source for citation.
She's citing a lot of hard facts and numbers that are indisputable from this.
So she has statistics here, which are can be sort of both a news hook as well as a source of evidence, especially if it's kind of a recent report or some recent information that's been published. She has a call to action here at the bottom. Today, I urge you to take a few minutes and browse through the websites in this blog or do your own research on malaria. As we reflect, let us recognize the importance of world health and its magnified impact on women throughout the world. So she has a conclusion, right, that's specific and doable. It's saying, please browse through the websites in this blog. That feels doable to me because it's not saying, take on this this major research project around about malaria. It's like just click on the links I presented and think about it a little bit. I like that. Now, what are some ways that Rachel could take this? I feel like this is a really good example of where I feel like it has the building blocks that we've discussed to creating an argument, but it just needs, I think, how could she maybe convert this into an op-ed or to more of an opinion piece?
This is Rachel.
Yeah, I was going to say, Rachel, feel free to chime in. If you wanted to take this and submit it to the New York Times, how might you?
Yeah, I'll start there, start small. I think, I'll say one thing. When I was writing this, I didn't really like how many stats I pulled in, which is why I tried to bold some of the words. So I would love your feedback on, how to have an appropriate number of stats, but, even looking at this right now, it's like, whoa, that's a lot of numbers to process. So that's one piece, but I thought they were all really interesting and really important, so how do you hone in on that? That's one question for you, I suppose. And I think in terms of the question that you posed, how do you make it – I think one thing I could have done is I tried to kind of embed the women's angle on it. And all our call to action as women for it, but I think I could have, somehow made it a little more, I don't know what I'm thinking of, but hot topic or contemporary or something.
So maybe it's something where you obviously pull in the anniversary of World Malaria Day, but maybe there's something else that you could look at. Maybe there's a celebrity reference popular culture. Maybe there's like a celebrity advocate who's going into a country to around the issue of malaria, or maybe they're bringing in some nets or something like that, and then maybe that's where you can look for another component of something going on in the news.
Right.
Or that's just one example. Thinking about popular culture.
Yeah. That's a really good one. I saw all this stuff on celebrities who are taking this on, and I just didn't think to throw it on.
That's okay. Yeah, and then for me, I always enjoy a little bit of pop culture reference. So if I see that Brad Pitt's doing something in addition to this around World Malaria Day, that might just be another way to bring in a reader, to kind of speak to someone's interest in celebrity gossip, so to speak. And then a question, something that Kendra chatted in here was one way that you could maybe make the piece, if you were to transform this into more of an opinion-oriented piece, a little less statistics heavy, or integrate them in a little bit differently, is just to add in some of your own reflections, maybe ideas about how to address some of the issues. I think that's a great comment and a great suggestion. Maybe depending on the focus of the piece, maybe you take one or two, you narrow in on which statistics are going to be the most relevant for your argument. For example, if you wanted to focus on, say, pregnant women, maybe you want to do something that actually was tied to, this is April 25th. It wasn't, it's not exactly the same day as Mother's Day. But maybe that you could kind of pull in the news hook of Mother's Day is around the corner, and did you know that because pregnant women are the main adult risk for malaria, risk group for malaria, preventative treatment is a critical way to help eliminate it. And maybe that could be the focus of the piece, is more around pregnant women or mothers. Or maybe you want to talk about how prevention, maybe it's more focused around prevention methods, and you want to, kind of spotlight a couple of these things. So I think that's just one thing, is that it's good. I think it's always, better as a writer, as a blogger, to have a lot of more information or more sources of evidence than you may need. But then that's when you can kind of see, maybe I could pull this out if it's not quite as relevant, or if you create more of integrate your own experiences or your own ideas about it. Or you may just want to mix in other types of, expert quotes, for example, or some other types of evidence, so it's not always, statistic after statistic. Did other people have ideas about addressing that point? Or other things that Rachel could do to create more of a kind of an op-ed piece out of this blog? And I think if you change, depending on the nature of the piece, what it takes on, your call to action, your conclusion may be different. We have an exercise that we do in the course of our seminar called That's Ridiculous, where it's trying to get people to, it's prompting them to think about what the to be sure paragraph would be. So perhaps if you're focused around malaria prevention, you can think, well, what would anyone, what would be the criticism around this? And is there a way that I can address that? I can predict or try to kind of circumvent any preempt my critics by addressing any flaws in my argument. And maybe then that, as a result, it may change the nature of your conclusion or your call to action. Well, I wanted to